Learning objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to discuss about some of the ways in which groups and individuals challenge existing inequalities. Explain why the Constitution of India is something that marginalized groups invoke in the course of their struggles. Relate how rights are translated into laws to protect groups from continued exploitation. Outline the government's efforts to formulate policies to promote the access of these groups to development. Invoking rights. Invoking fundamental rights. The fundamental constitutional rights are equally available to all Indians, including marginalized groups. By being the citizens of India, Adivasis, Dalit, Muslims, women, and other marginal groups possess equal rights that must be respected. Many among Adivasis, Dalit, Muslims, women, and other marginal groups look up to the Constitution to solve their problems. By insisting on their fundamental rights, they have forced the government to recognize the injustice done to them, and they have insisted that the government should enforce these laws. The struggles of the marginalized groups have influenced the government to frame new laws, in keeping with the spirit of the fundamental rights. Article 17 of the Constitution states that untouchability has been abolished. This means that no one can prevent Dalit from educating themselves, entering temples, using public facilities, etc. Article 15 of the Constitution states that no citizen of India shall be discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. This has been used by Dalit to seek equality wherever it has been denied to them. Laws for marginalized groups. Specific laws and policies have been designed and implemented for the marginalized groups in our country. In order to give opportunities to specific groups, the government makes many efforts for the promotion of these policies. The government tries to promote social justice by providing for free or subsidized hostels for the students of Dalit and Adivasi communities. The reservation policy is significant and highly controversial. State governments and the central government across India have their list of scheduled castes or Dalits, scheduled tribes, and backward and most backward castes. In order to get the benefits of reservation of seats, the students applying to educational institutions and those applying for posts in government are expected to furnish proof of their caste or tribe status in the form of caste and tribe certificates. Rights of Dalits and Adivasis. Protecting the rights of Dalits and Adivasis. Our country has specific laws that guard against the discrimination and exploitation of marginalized communities. In 1989, the Scheduled Caste and the Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act was framed to protect Dalits and Adivasis from the domination and violence of the powerful castes. A number of confident and bold Dalit groups came up and asserted their rights. They refused to perform their caste-based duties and insisted on being treated equally. In the 1970s and 1980s, Adivasi people successfully organized themselves and demanded equal rights and for their land resources to be returned to them. The Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 distinguishes several levels of crimes. It lists modes of humiliation that are both physically horrific and morally reprehensible.
Offences of atrocities. Offences of atrocities under the Act are forcing any person who is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe to eat or to drink any inedible or awful substance, committing the act of dumping excreta, waste matters, carcasses, or any other bad substance in the premises or neighborhood of any member of scheduled caste and tribe with intention to cause injury, insult, or annoyance. Committing any act against any member of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe which is derogatory to human dignity, like the act of forcibly removing clothes or parades him naked or with painted body or face. Wrongfully taking over or cultivating the land which is owned by or allotted to or notified by any competent authority to be allotted to any member of scheduled castes and tribes. Compelling any member of scheduled castes and tribes to do a form of beggar or bonded labor or any other forced labor. Forcing any member of scheduled castes or tribes to cast a vote in favor of some particular person or to stop them to cast the vote or to vote in a manner other than provided by law. Giving any wrongful information or malicious information to any public servant who makes that public servant to use its official power against any member of scheduled caste and tribes. Intentionally insulting any member of scheduled caste or tribe to humiliate him or her in public. Assaulting or using any force against any women member of scheduled caste or tribe in order to outrage her modesty. In 1993, the government passed the Employment of Manual Scavengers and Construction of Dry Latrines Prohibition Act. This law prohibits the employment of manual scavengers as well as the construction of dry latrines.
Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. There are sections in the Constitution that help to strengthen the argument against untouchability. For example, Article 15 of the Constitution notes that no citizen of India shall be discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. There are specific laws and policies for the marginalized in our country. There are policies or schemes that emerge through other means like setting up a committee or by undertaking a survey. The Scheduled Castes and the Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 Act was framed in 1989 in response to demands made by Dalits and others that the government must take seriously the ill treatment and humiliation Dalits and tribal groups face in an everyday sense. The 1989 Act, Adivasi activists refer to it to defend their right to occupy land that was traditionally theirs.